2, 1. As an autistic adult myself, I know from firsthand experience how difficult the Christmas season can be. One of the most challenging parts of the most wonderful season of the year is the Christmas parties and family gatherings that we experience, if not endure. These fun events for many are full of anxiety and stress for us on the spectrum, with a high risk of sensory overload, shutdowns, meltdowns, and may even contribute to our own autistic burnout. In this video, I'm going to share with you some strategies that will help you advocate for a Christmas gathering that would be inclusive for you as an autistic adult. So let's get started. Hey, Define Yourselfers, I am Chris Mitchell, aka The Confident Autistic from theconfidentautistic.com. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, welcome and season's greetings. I hope you find this video informative, and I hope you check around and check out the other videos I put up on the channel and find them just as informative as you will find this one today. I am an autistic adult, late diagnosed, a multi-certified life coach, and an advocate for autistic adults who is on a mission to empower you to embrace autism confidently. Now, if this resonates with you, there are several ways you can help support my mission, including liking, sharing, and commenting on this video, and by subscribing to this YouTube channel. When you do subscribe to the channel, do not forget to ring the bell to be notified of new videos and when I go live with my weekly Q&A session. As autistic adults, we cannot and should not expect everyone to know what our needs are to make the season more welcoming for us, especially since each person on the spectrum may experience autism differently. Therefore, we must know how to advocate for ourselves. I'm a big advocate on advocating. I know it sounds redundant, but it's actually a very truthful statement. So when you are asked, or when we are asked for our input into holiday decorating and planning for holiday gatherings and events, we need to know what can be done that can make the season enjoyable for us while keeping it enjoyable for others. Before we get into what it takes to create an inclusive Christmas that includes autistic adults like you and me, if we are not asked for our input during the holiday season, we should politely share our needs with those decorating and planning for the holidays. And for the best results, we should get involved in the decorating and the planning for the holidays. And it is the best way to make sure our needs are properly accommodated for the season. So if someone asks you, how can we make this more inclusive for you? Don't just share your thoughts, offer to help. And if nobody asks you, find out who's planning, who's organizing it, who's hosting it, and offer to help them plan the event. That comes across a little bit better than saying, here's the things that I need. You know, you can catch more flies with honey than with vinegar, they say. It's an expression which means being nice and a nicer approach. You're going to get more people to be your allies and want to work with you than if you are rude and blunt to them. Let's start with creating a calm environment. If you are sensitive to being overstimulated during the holidays, be sure to be open about this for those who are planning an event, or with yourself when you are the one planning the event. If flashing lights or overly bright decorations can trigger sensory overload, a solution may be to use soft, warm lighting or static lights. That means lights that do not blink, move, fade in, fade out, that kind of thing. Just, you turn them on, they stay on. Like the way Christmas lights were made back in the day in the 1970s. Those were beautiful Christmas lights. I like the LEDs. I know I'm getting off topic. I like the LEDs. But some of the older school lights from like the 70s, I love those because for me, they bring back warm memories of my childhood. Now, for those of us who are sensitive to noise levels, We should advocate for our needs by suggesting that soft, soothing Christmas music be played at a low volume in the background, or a silent background be used to prevent sensory overload. Of course, music often for many people adds atmosphere, and I'm not against that. I like music. I don't like it that loud. In fact, for myself, when I'm in a crowded environment, I usually have headphones on, playing music, and that helps calm me. But for each of us, we're a little bit different. So, whatever works for you, be sure to advocate for that when you're working with someone who is planning or will be hosting a gathering. But most importantly, when designing a calm environment, is to create a quiet space for yourself or for any autistic adult or anyone else at the gathering who needs a break to retreat to. A lot of people overlook this in the planning part of gatherings and all. And many of us have to, when we get there, we have to scramble and look around and say, what's a good place for me to retreat to if I need a little time out? Sometimes it'd be front porch, back porch. The bathroom's a great place to retreat to get a few moments away. But a good party planner, a good host, would set up a room where you can retreat to. It could be the coat room. It doesn't matter. Just an area that we can retreat to regroup so we can be fully involved in the event, and we can prevent any shutdowns, meltdowns, autistic burnout, or any other inappropriate scenes that can ruin the party for ourselves and the other party goers. Let's continue our planning by discussing decorating for the season. Be sure to advocate for your sensory needs when it comes to holiday decorations, whether that be at a party, a gathering, or in your own home. If it would help you to be surrounded by calming colors or textured decorations, be sure to share that during the planning and decorating part of places where you will be spending a good amount of time during the holidays. So if you're going to be at someone's house for about an hour, maybe not, but you're going to be spending, a couple of days there, you're traveling out of town to see some relatives, you may want to bring that up. And certainly in your home, it's your environment. Decorate it whatever way you want that's comfortable for you. And if you have a roommate or spouse, kids and all, discuss it with them. And maybe a little compromise, maybe certain areas have your sensory kind, certain areas have decorations that other people enjoy. Remember, when you're living with other people, whether it be roommates, boyfriend, girlfriend, marriage, whatever, compromise is a key word to have a successful relationship when you share your domicile with other people. Now, be sure to share your preferences for scented candles and strong smelling decorations. If they bother you, make sure that is known. If there is a scent that you prefer, be sure to share that as well. Because for me, there's certain scents that really bother me. In fact, I talked about this in other videos. The smell of grape. Oh man, that gives me a headache and makes me nauseous. So I try to stay away from grape flavored scents in the house. My wife knows this. I've shared this with her, so we don't get grape flavor thing. But yet lavender, the right amount, can be soothing to me. And then we have some winter green scented candles. Oh, I love those. And those actually help me relax. So this is why you want to share these things with people. And a cool way of sharing it is you go to a party, right? And you bring a gift of your favorite scented candle and offer to light it during the party. You gave a gift without being rude, and you addressed your own sensory needs. It's a win-win-win. Now, make sure to plan predictable activities for any gatherings. And you need to advocate for that if you're not the person doing the planning or hosting. But you want to make sure the gatherings you're at have predictable activities. So when assisting in planning a holiday gathering as an autistic adult, advocate for a schedule to be created and shared at least with you, if not with all the guests. The schedule should include what guests can expect during the gathering, including meal times, activities, and when visitors might arrive. And some party hosts will love doing this. Include a time on this for when the party ends. Now, for us autistics, we like to know schedules. I know if I'm going to go to someone's house for a party, one of the things that goes through my mind, and I've been told by people, This is rude to ask. When is this over? Especially when I walk in the door. For some reason, people find that to be rude. But I like to know the beginning and the end of things. I don't like this unquestionable end. The only thing I like not knowing when it's going to end, well, I kind of do know how it's going to end, is baseball games. And that's after the ninth inning or later when one team has a higher score than the other. Because I'm okay with baseball games not having a definite amount of time. I don't like these new speed up rules, but that's a topic for another day. But yeah, you can include that in your schedule, what time the party's over. Then you kind of, if you're the host of it, right? You're setting that tone so you can get people out of your house and go to bed at a halfway decent time so people don't overstay their welcome. So this is really a benefit for hosts. Now, if you are the autistic adult and you're trying to convince someone who's hosting or planning a party to create a schedule and they're hesitant, use that fact that they put in the schedule the party ends at 10 o'clock. Then they don't have to worry about trying to politely tell somebody, isn't it time for you to go? Their boots on out. That would be very helpful to a host because some people are like, I love having parties over, but some of those guests, Bob, he overstays his welcome. We give Bob a schedule. Bob may get the clue that at 10 o'clock it's time for him to put his shoes on and his pants on. Hopefully Bob does not take off his pants at a party. And it's time for him to head on home. Now, for some of us on the spectrum, we may be more comfortable with shorter activities. Now, this means a game of Monopoly or Dungeons and Dragons may be a bad idea. We may want shorter activities. It won't take too long. That won't last, 30, 40 minutes, an hour or more. We want to keep things moving because the longer it takes for something to happen, the longer it takes before the next activity happens, the longer we're going to be there, the higher risk of us starting to feel anxious or stressed, no matter what we have done to try to make this a more inclusive environment. Now, speaking of activities, be sure games are sensory friendly for you. So help the person who's hosting this or planning it or organizing it come up with games that are sensory friendly for you. If you're not a fan of physical contact, Twister may not be a game that would make you comfortable. Now, when it comes to this point, you don't want to be a party pooper, okay? Maybe they want to have Twister and you're not a fan of that. Fine. But let's say, could we have 3 games? One could be Twister and the other 2 games you like. And let them know, I'd rather not participate in Twister. I'm going to take a break during then. You can be discreet about it. I just need to take a break. I'm going to get something to drink or stretch my legs, whatever, and just step away from the activity. Now, if you're not a fan of surprises, and some surprises I like, good surprises I like, bad surprises I do not like. But if you're not a fan of surprises, you may wish to advocate for a low surprise or surprise-free gathering. The latter may be a little bit hard at the holidays, especially if gifts are already changed, but you can advocate for it. And the surprises that you may not want to experience is Santa suddenly appearing or a whole bunch of kids rushing in. And speaking, we talked about noise earlier. You may want to find out in advance before you go to the party, and you don't want to make a big thing about this because, the host can set the tone for the party. If a lot of kids running around will be making noise for you, and they're going to be in the same room, there won't be a game room for the kids, you may want to take that into consideration if you even decide to go. But, big surprises like Santa showing up or, that kind of thing, you may want to advocate for them not to do that, or you get an advance notice that this is going to happen, but you promise, and you keep this promise, not to tell anyone this so you don't ruin the surprise for other guests at the party. And speaking of, like I mentioned, it's going to be kind of hard to be a surprise-free gathering if gifts are changed. If you are a person who prefers to unwrap your gifts alone, be sure to inform party planners and maybe even other guests of your preferences beforehand. It's okay. I mean, some of us get anxious about opening gifts in front of others because we're not sure how we're supposed to react, if our face is going to accurately reflect our emotions or our tone of voice will reflect our emotion. I mean, Sometimes we'll get a gift that we think, oh man, this is a piece of garbage, but you expect it to happen. Oh, great. I love this. I never had one of these before, and you're really worried how you're going to come across and you're going to meet people's expectations. It's okay to say, I'd rather open this alone. That's fine. You're right. We talked about that in another video, which I'm going to put a link up here, and there'll be one in the video description about your Bill of Rights as an autistic person at the Christmas season, which has gotten a lot of positive feedback on that 30 rights that you have an autistic person. So I encourage you to check out that video. Now, let's talk about advocating for sensory-friendly food. Now, because this can be a very touchy subject, especially if you are a guest. If this is the case, asking for a special accommodation and meal preparation, especially if the host or hostess is cooking a big meal, like, a turkey, gravy, mashed potatoes, corn on the cob, whole spread. They're doing this big giant meal. Asking them to make a special dish just for you might be a bit rude or perceived rude by them. I know we don't think it's rude. It's a reasonable accommodation, but they could be spending a day or two preparing food. And on top of all of that, they're going to make one special meal just for you. But it can be asked, it can be done. But if that is the case, then be sure to bring a few of your own sensory favorite foods. And sometimes it can smooth things over with the host if you offer to make enough to share with other guests. Like, okay, you're making this great dinner, that's great. And all. Why don't I make a nice side dish of I don't know, uh, mashed potatoes, baked potatoes, and I'll bring enough for everybody, whatever that is. Or, you know what? I'm going to bring a big container of peppermint balls. And I'll share it with everybody because that may be one of your sensory friendly foods, one of your calming foods. Okay, maybe it's not food, maybe it's a snack. But the point is, you bring it and you're not trying to be rude because Christmas we should be sharing, right? So you share it with everybody, and it kind of smooth things over. Another tip to keep everyone happy and reduce stress and anxiety for yourself is to inform the host before the event that you are going to eat a sensory-friendly food, and it is no reflection on their cooking or their food. Now, I do not advocate lying, okay? I believe we should always be truthful with people. But if you're not comfortable revealing that you're on the spectrum with this person, okay, maybe you could say, I don't care for that food. I don't care who makes it. I've had a bad experience with it, which could be true. Maybe you did have a bad experience with it, or you're allergic to it. You may not be allergic to it. Again, I do not condone or approve of lying, but sometimes we have to do that to keep everyone happy, to reduce our own anxiety. So that would be considered a white lie, a small little lie, but you may have to do that. Now, speaking of eating, if eating around others is a sensory issue for you, and because some of us, it's the noise of all the conversations that are going around, the clanking of the dishes and the forks, the knives, the spoons, and passing of the plates and everything, or just the sounds of others eating troubles you. Ask if you could be seated in a quiet area to consume your meal. Socializing can be an anxiety trigger for many of us on the spectrum, but with careful advocating and planning by ourselves and by others, this can be a manageable experience for all of us. Now, for myself, socializing is one of my major triggers. I don't like small talk at all. I'm not good at it. But I want to say this so y'all understand me a little bit better. I don't mind doing these videos. Obviously, I'm not socializing with anyone. I don't mind being a guest on podcasts or in any other interview format because I know what the topic is. I don't mind being a host because I know what the topic is and I'm more in control of the conversation, which is fine. And I don't mind coaching because I know what the topic would be and all. But if I just walk up to somebody at a party and we engage in a conversation, I have no idea what to talk to them about. and I don't know what they're going to want to talk to me about. I don't know what the expectations from me are. So it's a very difficult time, and I'm sure it may be for you as well. So socializing is a challenge for you, which is very likely it is if you are on the spectrum. Advocate and or plan for flexible participation in conversations and group activities at any holiday gathering. Now, this can be achieved by the creation and encouragement of smaller one-on-one interactions, especially at larger gatherings, which are overwhelming for many autistics. And be sure, when advocating for yourself for any Christmas gathering, that your interests are incorporated into the event. Because when our interests are incorporated in the event, it can help us manage our stress and anxiety. Let's say my interest is buses, which they are because I have a collection of buses. And if you go to an event and somebody puts on a tree, an ornament of a school bus or a bus of any kind where I can see it, I can use that to focus in on and try to block things out to help me self-regulate at a party. This is why this is important to do. Something as small as that can help somebody who is on the spectrum. Now, it may be a good idea to tailor activities or themes to a party that reflect your or any autistic adult's interests into the party. This might include a craft, a puzzle, or special holiday movie or song that you as an autistic adult enjoy. You know, they're going to have music in the background. They're going to keep it soft and all. Say, hey, you know what? I really enjoy the song Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer. I would love it if you could play that at the party maybe for me once or twice. Doesn't matter if you could put it in the rotation, but also make sure if there's not any actual grandmothers who've been ran over by a reindeer or any grandfathers who lost their wife by being ran over by a reindeer. You don't want to be offensive to them. We want to be inclusive for all. But the point is, you can mention what one of your favorite songs is. And yes, Grandma Got Ran Over by the Reindeer is one of my favorite songs. But then again, I'm a goofy guy. I like novelty records. I like the strange music that's out there. So it's just me. I'm a big Weird Al Yankovic fan. Now, this may be hard for some of us in the spectrum, but we must try our best to be flexible during the holiday season. When we're working with someone who is planning a party and wanting to make it an inclusive event for autistic adults like you and me, be sure to remind the party planner, the host, that they should be prepared to adapt their plans based on the needs of all the guests, including their autistic guests. Because some people get so involved in planning the party. Oh, it's going to be great. I'm going to love having all these people over. I'm going to love having this, this game of whatever game they want to play and all. And they plan the parties where they are planning it for themselves. This is a mistake people make a lot. We always think of ourselves, and we should. We should always take care of our needs. But when you gather at an event or hosting an event, you're not doing it for yourself. At least you shouldn't be. You should be doing it for your guests. And I'm a big advocate of that. When I do speaking, I talk to people on how to do speaking. You don't want to give a speech for yourself. You give a speech for the audience. And I've seen people who will do a speech talking about their Christmas their Christmas traditions with the family. And they're sharing all their memories, but they don't do anything to tie that into the audience. They might as well be in a room talking to themselves. I know I'm getting off topic again. I'm sorry, I do that at times. Anyway, the point of this is, if we need to be flexible, our host and hostesses and planners should also be flexible. Should not be rigid in what they want to do and have to do it this way. I mean, I know some people get carried away with traditions at the holidays and on because they're important to them, but we do need to be flexible and understand that we got to go with the flow depending on how things are. I know that's hard for us because we as autistics like routines and we like predictability. But when you go to a party, it's a little bit out of our control. We got to be prepared for that And like I said, our hosts and hostesses and those that are planning it must also take that into consideration. As autistic adults who are advocating for ourselves in the planning or preparation of a gathering or an event, we should gently remind the planners of events and the host of events that we may need to leave or take breaks unexpectedly during the party or the event. Now, by doing this, we are sharing with our hosts that we're not trying to be rude. Because we suddenly disappear, some people will take that as us being rude. Okay, and then the host will understand, oh, they're not being rude, they just need a few moments of downtime. That's fine. And then that host can advocate for us with other guests who are startled by our sudden absence. The people might start talking, why isn't Chris here? Where did Chris go? Why did he leave? The party's not even over. And the host can say, he just needs to take a break for a few minutes. And so saying, oh, I don't know. And rumors get started. So I hope these tips on how to advocate for yourself and maybe even plan for your participation in parties and gatherings this holiday season has been helpful. And now it's your turn. Share with me if this video has been helpful to you. Did I leave any suggestions out that has helped you or could help others in the planning and preparing for the holidays during this holiday season or future holiday seasons? I want to hear them. Please share those in the comments on this video or join the conversation in our Facebook group, Autistic Adults Embracing Autism. I may not be able to respond to every single comment that's posted, but rest assured, I do read each and every one of them, and I appreciate every comment that is shared with me via comments on this video, the Facebook group, or even on my website, theconfidentautistic.com. This is the Confident Autistic, not only wishing you the very merriest of holiday seasons, but reminding you that now is the time for you to embrace autism confidently. Join me live Thursday nights for the Confident Autistic Live, where I answer your questions, we discuss this week's videos, offer support, and more. The fun starts Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time in the US of A. Be sure to click the bell when you subscribe to the channel to be notified when the party begins.